What's going on, fish? Welcome back to your favorite pond, the Coy Pond, episode 73. As always, you know where to find us. You're watching on YouTube, you got Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and as always, don't forget to leave your question on SpeakPipe. We will read any and all of your questions, especially in the off-season. That will not stop us. And don't forget, check out the merch store. As per usual, find yourself something absolutely delectable that you'll love to wear every day of the year. We have plenty, and I mean plenty of options to choose from. As always, I am joined by my host with the most, K-Dog himself.
Good afternoon, Colin.
Hey.
How you doing today?
Hey, you know what? It's been a long day. Glad to be here. Glad it's this part of the day. Part of my favorite part of the day.
Yes.
Lunch.
It's amazing because when you're watching this, of course, it's Thursday morning at 8 o'clock or after.
Yep.
And Colin and I have had a very long day, and yet we find ourselves reinvigorated when we get to this point and start talking our favorite sport, football.
Yes, and it means I'm no longer walking around the shop. I get to sit down and just talk NFL. It's simply magical. It's a great pick-me-up during the week. I saw we got another subscriber today.
Sweet.
Number 83. Thank you for joining the pond.
Welcome to the pond. 83 reads.
Yeah, 83 reads, 83 koi fish, however you want to say it. Nevertheless, shout out Betsy for shouting our podcast out in her college marketing class. I'm sure we got absolutely bodied by that professor. But what are you going to do? Neither one of us went to college for this, so I think... And we went to that college.
We went to that college.
For what it's worth, so...
Do you imagine that the professor, like, hey, Betsy, thank you for bringing that up. Let's pull this up and see, let's diagnose this one. What do you think?
You know, I don't have a real hunch, and, shout out to the professor if it's the one that followed us on YouTube.
Yeah.
I just have to assume we got bodied, just for my lack of putting out YouTube shorts, and with how busy life's gotten. The thumbnails, I think, and the titles have gotten better if you go back from one to now.
Very good. I like them.
Can't
wait to see them.
A little bit more exciting now.
Yes.
But marketing-wise, there's no way that was a good conversation. They've done a year and only have 82 subscribers.
Yeah. Somebody's lacking on reading the book.
and you know what? We do this for ourselves at the end of the day.
We really do.
And, we have fun doing it without a doubt.
It's the best therapy there could be.
It really is. It means I don't have to talk someone else's ear off that doesn't care about it.
And it means that, for this bit of time that we chat about all this stuff, we are in our element, gurus,
yes.
in our own minds, and what's better than that?
Hey, exactly. It's a break from everything else in life. So
that's right.
It's a much needed break.
Amen.
It's a healthy output. Healthy. Yeah. It's healthy. It's fine.
It's healthy.
It's fine. Next week, we will be looking at the 2013 draft where we left off last year on 2012 is the last one we reviewed. So we'll be doing the 2013 draft next week. Look for that fun stuff, some exciting names that you may have forgotten about.
Colin has put together some fabulous research that is hot off the press, and yet will be so ready and ripe for next week's discussion.
I didn't feel like it was justice. We've had an incredible week as it's only Wednesday, and to really do it justice, you got to look into a little bit more.
Yeah.
You need a couple more days to look at names, and I don't want to just go down the list and name 5 guys as trash because I don't remember them from 2013. That being said, we got some new rules this week.
We have some new rules. So the owners, coaches are at a beautiful resort in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
I think for the whole week.
Yeah, I think it lasts a bit.
Talking rules and hanging out by the pool and having a good time and
just enjoying it all.
And from that, of course, has come some rule discussions.
Yes.
And primarily, I guess we'll talk about the Tush Push.
Might as well. I mean, I would say that might have been the hottest thing that was going into this coaches meeting was how every team felt about the Tush Push.
Yes. And the vote that they took was a tie, 16-16.
Mm-hmm.
So they have tabled it to the June meeting.
June, May.
Somewhere in there.
It's a few months away. It's after the draft. It's interesting how, I don't want to say the public necessarily disagrees, but how many mixed opinions you hear about.
Yes.
I will admit it's getting quite sickening to my opinion. Just make a decision.
Yeah.
And if that's Goodell that has to do it, so be it.
Yeah.
Because not only now has it gone from what seemed to be everyone hates it to hey, maybe we keep it in a little longer.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, that's fine too, but can we just make a goddamn decision?
Right.
I don't know if that's how everyone else feels. I think it's hilarious that there's one play in the NFL that no other team can really stop, and there's, to the same sense, replicated, except maybe the Bills, who I think were the second most, ran at the second most.
I think so.
Some stat like that. It's a weird spot, especially because it's such a controversial rule, and you have some people saying that's not football, and some people that are like, it's just a play.
Right.
Yeah. There's this one play has kept some coaches up at night for probably hours. I mean, potentially ruined families if you think about it, depending on how long they stayed up just thinking about having to play the Eagles.
Right. Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised 20 years down the road we hear of coaches that had to ruin their lives.
Yeah.
Maybe never were the same again.
Could very well be.
Because Jason Kelsey decided he could squat just a little bit more than everyone else.
That's
with
right.
Thick thighs, Jalen Hurts behind him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. We don't have concrete evidence yet. But it's nuts. I
think the NFL loves the controversy too, because the NFL, at the end of the day, when you have controversy, you have impassioned your fan base, right?
Yes.
And no matter where you come down on it, it gets you interested in it, right?
For sure.
And it's press, and any press is better than no press.
And you know what's the only thing they could have done other than make a decision on yes or no is maybe.
Yep.
And then guess what? It stays in the media through the draft. I mean, if I have to hear about some draft prospect on the defensive line being able to maybe or maybe not stop the tush push in the NFC East division that gets drafted, I'm going to lose my mind.
Right.
It's a glorified QB sneak.
It is. So I heard this morning, Goodell talking about injury. They've done research. The research is real. I'm absolutely sure the Cowboys come down on the side of ban it.
Right.
They play them twice a year.
Exactly.
You can't stop it.
You would assume.
The Packers obviously came up with this proposal because they play the Packers in the NFC, and in the playoffs they would run into one another. But the injury thing is interesting that's kind of gotten wings, because I don't know that I've ever really, I guess that's possible that it is more susceptible to injury as center's head is down,
right,
hitting behind but we haven't seen anybody actually get hurt from it that I'm aware of.
Yes, and to my knowledge on other podcasts and what they've said, so take this with a grain of salt, no one's been injured on that play yet. Given it's been a year, maybe 2 years of that play
at least 2, I think. Yeah.
But it's like, okay. So now we've taken the Will Smith concussion route and made this whole thing about injury.
That's so strange, because there's the potential. The potential in any play for a player to get hurt in the NFL is real.
I would argue you could make the same point be made for the tush push on any running play.
Right.
To the same extent that it's a run play.
Right. And again, we changed the kickoff. We'll talk about the current change, but we changed the kickoff rule to keep big grown people from running and gaining steam and running into one another.
Right.
The tush push, like you said, is a quarterback sneak. So you're just lunging. You're lunging, right?
Exactly.
It's not full speed. It's not. So
it's within a yard typically. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, unless it's been Josh Allen, which for some reason I want to say has run more than 2 yards on that play potentially. But it's almost a dead argument, because then the conclusion is, well, it could hurt someone.
Right.
And it's like, well, any play could hurt someone. And then you get into who's it hurting? And then it's like, well, the center. It's like, well, the center agreed to it. And then then you're back in the weeds of it's a 16-16 vote. And now it comes down to whatever month it is that has the next meeting for it.
And what do you want to bet they don't conclude anything then either?
This goes until September, then postpone until next year.
What it seems to me is that the injury aspect of this coming into it is positioning it for whichever way it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, if ultimately it gets voted down, no one is going to really have a beef if they say, well, we've got data that shows that the
injuries are just so close to happening all over the place.
I think it's a way to ultimately calm it down, whatever way they go.
Right.
So,
without a doubt. If it gets voted in and no one has a majority of people are okay with it, then it's a running back play. It's a quarterback sneak. It's nothing new to the NFL.
No.
Then if they say no, it's, well, due to AI telling us that's going to be hurting more people, now we've got to take it out. And it's a weird spot.
It is.
It gets more clicks. People are being forced to talk about it.
Yep.
Us.
Here we are.
And I'm overall sick of it. I wish they'd flip a coin. And every year, wouldn't that be exciting? Every year it's a flip of a coin.
Yeah.
And then the first coin toss of the season is what set of rules are in or out, and the Tush Push is always on one or the other. Hilarious.
True.
But talking about player health and new rules, kickoff.
So now we're going to if you have a touchback,
yes,
the ball's going to come out to the 35.
Right.
So you could go two ways on this, and Pat Kerwin and what's his name, Jim Miller, who were on NFL radio, they kind of went opposite directions with it. So Jim Miller thought that it would make it more likely that people would bring the ball out.
Right.
Pat Kerwin said, if you're going to get to the 35 for just kneeling down, why would you not just kneel down? That's great field position. So,
yeah,
not sure what that really does at the end. They're hoping to make it more like you would bring it out.
Right.
I don't know, but not sure.
I'm guessing it's more for kickers and trying to land into that zone that I'm assuming still exists.
I would bet.
Is, maybe they had so many people just kick it out the back in the first place, since everyone's a athletic beast these days.
Yeah.
Those kickers have no issues doing that they're trying to get them to be more accurate on hitting or landing at the 2 so that it has to come out.
Yeah.
Opposed to, if your kicker's always kicking it through the back, then you're always going up against someone already at the 35.
Yeah.
It's a weird spot.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's it. Penalize the we know kicking's gotten better.
Right.
Kickers have stronger legs. We're seeing 60-yarders with more regularity.
Yeah.
So this kind of fits in, and that's probably coming next, to where they're going to move something with field goals.
Or point afters, too, or trying to make it more exciting so that 7's not a default number. It could be 6 if your kicker's not in the top 16 type of kickers. I don't even know.
You could see that opening up a whole different direction with field goals and stuff.
I completely agree. And it's funny that they redid the kickoff like they did. I think that took effect last year for the first time.
Yep.
And now they're trying to fine-tune it, but all this is going to do is make games have higher scores, which is exciting.
They want that.
Everybody wants to run up the score because that just under the basic line is going to make things more exciting.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be like every drive a player only has the ability to get 65 yards if it's constantly being brought out to the 35.
Yep.
And how many of these players in general, new compared to old, have the mindset that I'm going to die returning this kickoff?
True.
Versus if I get hit 2 more times extra each season, I'm going to have 1 year taken off the end of my career. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if you see a lot more get brought out because kickers are putting it more at the 10 and it lands at the 7 or the 3. Who knows?
Yep.
And that's also going to the average. I'm curious for quarterbacks, yards per game, if that starts decreasing because there's less opportunity for yardage if they're already starting at the 35.
Right.
No idea if that has any truth to it, but it's just going to be interesting.
It's out there.
Right? Baseball started changing the rules. Now the NFL's decided we need to start changing our rules.
Yep.
You're going to hear both sides of it. The old heads are going to hate everything.
Yep.
People more my age might love everything.
Yeah.
I can't say this is going to make it or break it.
Yeah.
But it is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about it.
Definitely so.
Now, my favorite rule.
Yes.
New rule coming out finally is they are fixing overtime.
Yes. So does this make it more like college ball?
No.
No.
College ball, to my knowledge, and viewers, we're not college guys, so please correct us in the comments. I believe college and overtime, you both start from a certain yardage. I don't know if it's 25 or 35.
Yep.
And then you both try and get in the end zone with one set of downs. And then it double overtime turns to a 2-point conversion.
Okay.
And you keep moving closer and closer to or you move out more maybe. I might have that backwards.
I'm sure.
But it's something where it's like a 2-point conversion into a field goal range into something else. And whoever just can't repeat that process is the one that loses, basically.
Okay.
This is, and maybe college was like that before, and this is what they're replicating, but the overtime rules in the postseason now apply to the overtime in the regular season. Okay. So instead of whoever gets the ball first and scores wins, you've got 10 minutes and both teams get possession.
Okay.
And I don't know if they change double overtime and triple overtime at all, because I would imagine they have to account for the fact that this probably will lead to more double overtimes.
Right.
What that looks like, or if that ends in a tie.
Sure.
Because I think in the past, if you got through an overtime, a quarter of overtime, it just ends in a tie, and that's that.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
And I'm excited because this means both teams get the ball. Shout out the Bills, who probably have gotten nuked on that numerous times now, where without, no matter what happens, they get an opportunity to score too.
Yeah, yep.
Which historically is going against the Bills.
Yeah, it should definitely make it more competitive and interesting, right?
Yeah, and so I'm excited they're just making it more of just a flatline rule where the coin toss won't decide who wins the game potentially.
Yeah.
If you got the Bills versus the Ravens or something.
Makes sense.
It's the best rule change we've had in a while, in my opinion.
So we'll post the picture of the coaches at the meetings in Florida.
Yes.
There is one coach absent.
Yes, I will throw their name up. I have no idea off the top of my head who
it
is.
Apparently he was on his way there, didn't make it in time, and they've said, let's really thought a lot about him because they went on without him.
That would be hilarious if it was a first-year coach. I cannot think of nor see who it is.
Not sure. So we'll just put that out.
Yes, I saw the whole AFC West there, so that covers my bases.
There you go.
It's so funny to think about. I mean, if you look at this picture, Nick Sirianni just looks like he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It just makes me mad.
He's
so happy.
He looks like, I don't care.
He's just there.
Yep.
Andy Reid, same face. Good on him.
Yep.
Brian Dable, not smiling.
Not at all.
I don't think he has anything to be happy about. They just signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
This might be his worst day ever.
Did you see Jameis Winston's comments in his press conference? We talked about him always having
the funny tweets. What are you coming to Tampa Bay
He
for,
said something like, we got to start getting this right so people can be happy again. Happy in New York.
Yes, happy going 3-14.
Yeah,
3-15 or whatever.
So he's like, so we got to get this thing going right. Something to that extent.
You know what? Based on social media, Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson in the same quarterback room could create the best environment for a team to go 3-14.
It just might, right?
They might be happy losing. They might be shaking hands at the end of the game saying, thank you for beating us by 50. With the Lord, maybe Russell Wilson can deliver Jameis Winston from pick sixes.
Yeah, might be.
Listen. All I know is if Russell Wilson's there at the 50-yard line on the logo spinning around at MetLife Stadium, fans might throw beer cans onto the field. That might be it.
So that said, just a quick touch on the draft there, since you kind of talked about that. So we'll come back to this in a minute, the top end of the draft, but Giants picking third, right?
Right.
You know, this ties back into the owner meeting, so we'll go through this real quick.
Do it.
So I don't think there's any doubt that the Titans are going to take Ward, the quarterback from Florida,
right,
or from Miami. I mean,
yeah.
But they have to. We've said it before.
Will Levis cannot.
Not working.
He can't go forward.
But I've kind of changed what I thought was going to happen with the Browns.
Okay.
And you know my change in this comes from Jim Haslett, the owner of the Browns, coming out saying we took a big swing and we missed.
Yes.
You see that?
I did. And if you follow the Twitter account, I was commenting on it.
And that comment right there, they really have nobody else on that roster.
No.
Nothing. They're going to take Sanders at 2.
It feels like.
I don't think they have a choice. And when you hear the owner saying that, this is, again, Watson is kind of like Russell Wilson in Denver. And then they still went ahead and took Bo Nix.
Yeah.
You know, and dealt with the shit and all that. Browns have plenty of cap room.
Yep.
And they realize that they just can't move forward with what they have. So, you know, unless Deion Sanders pops in there and blocks it, I don't know how Shedeur Sanders doesn't go to the Browns now, especially with those comments.
Yes, the Browns ownership coming out saying we fucked up is an iconic thing for a team.
Oh, my gosh.
And maybe he just wants to rip off the Band-Aid sooner, and that's why he's doing it now.
Yeah.
But I will always love an owner going, what were we doing?
That was fantastic.
I want to know who convinced him to do it in the first place, or if it was him, and that's why these comments are coming out now.
Maybe.
Well, again, these are the sort of questions we won't know until the 30 for 30 on ESPN comes out in 20 years.
Right.
But it is so funny to think that the owner had to come out, admit how wrong they were, and now give off the vibe as if they're taking a quarterback that won't be available at 2.
Yeah.
Or taking a quarterback and the number 1 won't be available there.
Right. So I would sure now think that that's the Browns would be in for Sanders unless something
they
is
sign someone or
blocking,
convince
but
a team.
it's not good. So what that means to me is third pick Giants. You just said it. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. They've got enough there to go another year.
Yeah.
You got to take the generational talent, and that's either Carter,
the
defensive end, but I think who it really is Travis Hunter.
I can see that.
I think you get a corner, you get a receiver, you get a game-changing player.
Yep.
I mean, and again, there's all levels you'll see. They rate these players, and when you hear them talk about generational talent, you can't pass that.
You really can't.
Because that guy's going to be on your team probably for a decade and a game changer. And here's another reason why I know he's going to go to the Giants, because the Cowboys are going to have to play him twice a year.
That would really put
And that shit just always happens. So that was what cinched it for me to change my thing, because I'm always like,
of course they got it.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. As somebody that Dallas plays twice a year, and they always go there. So
it makes total sense.
So I'm using some demented logic here, you see. But
it's the perfect time of the year for that stuff, honestly.
Makes total sense.
And it's hilarious to think that the Browns and doing what owners never do, admit they fuck up, and then the Giants get generational talent.
Yeah. And I mean, again, fantastic comments by him. I when I heard it, I was like, what did he just say?
That was the only thing he could say.
And I love it. You screwed up. Don't give it anywhere to go, and he didn't. He just owned it, which is great. We took a big swing and we missed. We whiffed, I think is what he said.
Whiffed is putting it lightly.
Oh.
It's almost like they got hit by a pitch, but then still swung. So it was just a strike.
That's right.
Man.
So
it's just atrocious. Aaron Rodgers not being signed with the Steelers yet to me.
That's weird.
That's pitch perfect, if I would say. Aaron Rodgers to the Browns? Now, how about that for hilarious?
I almost said that a second ago.
I'm throwing it out there just because he hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
Is he on an ayahuasca trip so dangerously strong? Is he on Delta 8 weed in Ohio that could send a cow to the moon to the extent that he is believing in a new stadium with Cleveland could solve his problems? Is he drinking the water in the Great Lakes?
That would explain a lot.
I don't get it. I think we're not the only podcast that said that. I know this. How is he not signed? Is it just coming down to like the nitty-gritty stuff and it's just going to take a little time and this is all an overreaction?
Yeah.
Or did the Browns come in with an offer?
Yeah.
It would be hilarious.
Yeah. And the whole Steelers situation that kind of got blown out of proportion with, hey, if you're coming here, come here. If not, stop.
There's a Cam Hayward that was
Cam
saying,
Hayward, yeah.
Because he also commented about intercepting DK Metcalf from the Chargers.
Right.
Yeah. So it's.
So they're. I think it's smart now, right?
Right.
It's so close to the draft. Wait and see who doesn't draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
There's where you're going to go.
And this is probably a huge overreaction, just for the record. I don't actually think he could go to the Browns, but maybe he does. I don't know. I really.
Well,
it's waited this long.
If you want to talk about classic fan bases in the NFL, you would certainly say the Packers, where he was at.
Yeah.
And outside of the Steelers, you would certainly say the Browns fan base is probably the most loyal, dedicated.
You have to give
no matter
that.
What.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback list on the back of that kid's jersey that was like 15 deep in 5 years.
My gosh.
It felt like there is almost I would almost give that to no one else.
And those fans still pack that place on a regular basis. So, I mean, maybe this feels like Green Bay in a way to him because
everyone
the fan
loves
base,
it.
right?
But you could say the same about the Steelers.
Could say the same. Yeah, it could go out. So, they both make sense then, right?
Yeah.
The Browns could be a surprise candidate here.
Steelers and Browns have both been poverty for 5 years, except the Steelers got a little bit more lucky in the playoffs than one.
Right.
But I mean,
so I don't know.
I am only saying that before the Steelers fans jump down my throat is because of the playoff success and the Tomlin record and the revolving door for quarterbacks.
Well, and at the end of the day, those fans, again, if Rodgers is acting like, you hey woo me and all this stuff,
right? Convince me.
That fan base is like, fuck you.
Yes,
we don't want you.
Exactly.
So those are. The Browns fans would be the same way. The Packer fans would probably be the same way.
Exactly.
So.
And it could come down to agents right now. And they're waiting on one line to be switched to this instead of that.
True.
It could be anything. I like to fantasize that he's just, tripping drugs 24/7. Sorry. plants 24/7. I would hate to give meaning to the word drug, but it's just hilarious. It's what the NFL is now is just funny.
It is. The other thing coming out of the owner meetings, so Micah Parsons, obviously, who you would argue is a generational talent.
Yeah.
His contract is up. They've been working on a contract.
Yep.
Cowboys have taken a bunch of crap for talking directly to Micah Parsons, not his agent.
Ugh.
But local Cowboy reporters will tell you that's a typical thing for Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones to do with their players, especially their top players.
Right.
So, but it is projected that he will sign the largest non-quarterback contract in the history of the NFL. So, and that could happen as soon as next week.
And you know what? Whoever was it, DeMarcus Lawrence that recently left
the
Cowboys, and then him and Micah got into it.
Yep, you said it right. Yep.
I love it. Regardless of what the Cowboys have been for 5 years or how long they've both been there together.
Yeah.
I just love out the door just kicks them. I think that's hilarious.
It's funny.
And, I don't think Lawrence has necessarily had the best career with the Cowboys over the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, been hurt a few times.
But
very solid.
A beast of a player without a doubt.
Yeah.
I love the idea that he gets that tweet and immediately fires off trash player anyway or whatever it was.
Oh, you mean Micah did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just hilarious to me.
Yeah, you had Jordan Lewis on the Cowboys.
Yes, he signed with
I forget.
Someone else.
Yeah. But on his way out the door, he kind of said, what DeMarcus said, Dallas is a crap place, or however he put it. And then you had other players come in supporting Micah and the Cowboys. So it's, again...
Social media has turned free agency into a different clown show. And it's kind of hilarious.
More drama.
Yeah. It's something to talk about. It's kind of funny in that regard.
Shortage. Yep.
No, never. Never, ever. And you know what?
Where are we at?
I think we're at 27 minutes, and I think I'm good.
That's good.
I can't think of anything else.
The only thing I have left to say is episode 73. Do you have a player that you think of for number 73?
Oh, shit.
It's a really odd...
73.
Yeah, it's a really odd one.
Kyle Juszczyk or 73.
A Charger?
Oh, God. Putting me on the spot for 73. I can't think of anybody.
Well, the guy that I am thinking of is Larry Allen.
Oh, shit.
He was arguably the best guard in the history of the NFL for the Cowboys.
I was going to say, I know that name.
And if you recall, when we were in Florida one time, we were at the Tarzan show.
Yes. Oh.
And Larry Allen and his family came in and sat down in the front row.
And there's only one son of a bitch in that entire arena or theater that would recognize a player that might have played 15, 20 years ago, whatever that was.
Yes.
And he's sitting right next to me.
And I very nonchalantly took my my Tarzan Showtimes pamphlet. That's all I had. It went down to the front row and said, "Mr. Allen, how you doing?" And he signed it, and I still have it. And like after that, I saw like 3 or 4 or 5, then like 6. Oh God! Went down and who is that? And went down there and had him sign stuff. So. I felt bad from that standpoint.
Right. In the moment, you were excited. It's not something that crosses your mind as a fan necessarily.
Yes, because so many people, when they think they see someone, they're like, or who are you? Or they just sound like idiots.
Oh, my.
That's embarrassing. Just don't say a word, right?
Yes, and I think my favorite trait that you have as an NFL fan, and there's pros and cons, so I'm just going to say favorite for this episode. We can get into it later. Is he doesn't guess. He goes, did you play on the Cowboys in 85, and did you get demoted to practice squad after week 5 when you fumbled the ball? And these people look at him like they've seen a ghost, and the NFL sent an assassin to kill them for knowing something they're not supposed to know. And every time, it's the fucking person he thinks it is.
Roger Goodell sent me to take you out.
Ta-ta, motherfucker. But no joke, all seriousness, he's spotted more players that had shorter careers that maybe don't expect to get that recognition. Yeah. And he's like, I've got your rookie card.
I pride myself on being able to recognize them
you
without their number, their name, or their uniform. I don't know. It's just fun to...
Well, and to some extent, and, everyone has their own opinions on fans and how to treat them and what happens and all that. But to some extent, that's almost got to be flattering because a lot of people wouldn't recognize them without the number on their back at the very least.
They actually seem. I mean, unless you're talking about Troy Aikman or somebody like that, who you're never going to get that close to.
Yeah.
But somebody like Larry, he seemed like he generally, in
the moment, he was probably like, "Whoa."
Yeah. He just said, "Oh man, have a great day, man."
Yeah.
So it was really cool. It was exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I mean, my gosh, Larry Allen. I mean, legendary All-Pro guard, maybe all NFL in the history of the NFL. So
yes, I recognize the name, and that speaks volume to it.
Yep.
And on that note, next week, 2013 NFL Draft. Did your team bust or rust? That was the best rhyme I could think of. All right, that's going to be it. My brain's gone. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you next week, Draft, in 3 weeks. We'll see you then. Peace.